doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Wanderers, worshipers, lovers of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times. Come, even if you have broken some promises. Come, come, whoever you are. Come and come, whoever you are. Come and come, whoever you are. Come, whoever you are.
Fitting on this interfaith gathering for Shabbat that we should open with the words of the poet, the Sufi mystic Rumi, come, come, wherever you are. Shabbat Shalom and welcome to Shabbat services here at Central Synagogue. We greet all of you who are joining us in this sanctuary as well as our broader virtual community, including our neighbors. I am Rabbi Dan Ross, and I'm joined on the Bima this evening by my colleagues, our senior Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, Cantor Jenna Pearsall, Rabbi Mo Salth, Rabbi Ari Lorge, and by our president, Dr. Shani Silverberg. We are so grateful to have the words of our prayers lifted by our incredible musicians, and we thank our entire events, technical, and operations staff for making these services move as smoothly as they do, and of course our shamashim who greeted you when we came in. We are welcoming many people into our sanctuary this Shabbat who are guests or who are here for the very first time. One who is very special to me is my daughter Adina, who will be welcomed into the covenant of the Jewish people this Shabbat as she receives her Hebrew name. And our entire community is grateful to be welcoming our guests from faith communities near and far. We are so blessed to have Imam Omer Bajwa, the Muslim chaplain at Yale, Pastor Gil Monrose from the mayor's office, Reverend Matthew Hyde, and Reverend Anne-Marie Witchker of the Church of the Heavenly Rest. And of course, our speaker, Imam Abdullah Amtepli, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later. And we are also grateful to the leadership of the Shine a Light Foundation, headed by David Sable, who initiated this evening of Interfaith Fellowship. And in addition, we are blessed that our member, New York State Senator Liz Krueger, has brought with her two distinguished guests, Congressman Jerry Nadler, who represents this district that includes Central Synagogue, and New York State Senator Gustavo Rivera, who represents the Bronx. And now that we've had a chance to welcome all of these incredible guests, we will take a few moments to greet each other as we say Shabbat Shalom to the people next to you. As has been our practice in recent weeks. Yeah. We on? No?
Okay, as has been our practice in recent weeks, we'd like to invite members Honey Heller and Andrew Shepard to put a written reflection in our SEDEC box about their work increasing voting access and civic engagement.
And it looks like I'm back up. There we go. So we invite you up right now. Thank you so much for your hard work. And then to light our Shabbat candles this evening, it is my honor to call up our Shamashim captains, Emily Johnson, Pam Chasik, Jody Kaplan, Barbara Reed, Elaine Goldhill, Carol Weiner, and Nancy Langer, and of course our fearless leader, Cheryl Lexton. Continue.
Bill, can you just turn this on? It's good. No, you're good.
Oh. We continue with Shirul Adonai on our order of service.
Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Sapru vagoyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai u'mehulah me'od, nora hu al kol Elohim. Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Ki kol Elohei ha'amim melilim, Adonai shamayim asa. Hod v'hadar lefanav, Oz v'tiferet b'mikdasho. Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Yismechu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam u'melo'o, Ya'lo sadai b'chol asher bo. Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shirul Adonai shir chadash, Shirul Adonai kol haaretz. Shirul Adonai baruch hu shemo, basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shirul Adonai. שובר ארצים, וישבר אדוני את עזי הבנות, וירקידם כמו עגל, לבנון וסריון כמו אבן רעים.
We bring Kabbalat Shabbat to a close with the Chadodi on page 20, verses 1 to 5 and 9, rising on the 9th verse, facing the door to greet Shabbat.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבורך השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. לאחותי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונחכי, מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לאן דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצוהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת
standing as we turn now to our call to worship on page 146.
Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do.
Please be seated. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, ובתבונה משנה עתים, ומחליף את הזמנים, ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה, גולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים.
Page 148. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo,
Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
This prayer, the Vehafta, we talk about how we express our love to God, and primary among them is to teach our children. So at this moment, I would like to call up Adina Ross, accompanied by her parents, Rabbi Jade Ross and Rabbi Dan Ross, for a blessing at the Ark. Get the congregation to please rise so we can open the Ark. We are all so very excited to meet you, Adina. You are one of the newest and arguably the cutest members of our Central family and beloved daughter of our Rabbi Dan Ross and Rabbi Jade Ross. Now, Adina, I know you're so chatty. My children could tell you that it's not always easy to be an RK, a rabbi's kid. And you've got a double with 2 rabbis' parents. But judging from your recent visit to the clergy office, you are taking it all in stride. You were completely happy to be passed around from one person, doting on you, to another. You were super charming, very curious. You are already working on vocalizing. I heard you sing your first nigun, na, 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 na. And you are practicing your for very good Hebrew pronunciation. Now, you stand here today with your parents, but you are so lucky that in the sanctuary tonight, you have all 4 of your grandparents with you as well, and a great-grandmother in the congregation, and 2 more great-grandparents watching, 2 great-grandparents in the congregation, and 2 more great-grandparents watching through live stream from South Carolina. Not to mention a sanctuary filled with aunts, uncles, cousins, and surrogate bubbies and zadies and aunties and uncles, all of whom are showering so much love and want you to know how much we love you and are excited for your arrival into the world. Your parents have given you a very beautiful name, Adina Sydney, or in Hebrew, Adina Sapir, for 2 very important people in your family line. Adina comes from your maternal great-grandfather, Al Letterkramer. Al was born premature and he only grew to be 5 feet tall, but he was a giant with a heart. And what he might have lacked in height, he made up for it in athleticism and humor and warmth and general joy for life. And listen to you singing his song. Al made friends wherever he went. He could tell jokes to people at a restaurant and just make friends there. Or as he was taking out the trash, he would make friends with his neighbors. He loved people and enjoyed connecting with people of all ages. And I already see this quality in you. And Sydney is for your paternal great-grandfather, Sidney Ross, who was a legendary pediatrician and infectious disease specialist, and he practiced for 50 years. When your dad actually shared a beautiful sermon about Sidney, his grandfather, more than one person in the congregation and on live stream wrote to him and said, "He was my pediatrician." He loved taking care of people. He was a healer with beautiful hands, and he called all his patients Sweet Pea. So, Sweet Pea, Adina Sydney, may you know the satisfaction of finding meaningful work that makes a difference in other people's lives, just like your namesakes. Your Hebrew name, Adina Sapir, could also be translated as gentle blue-eyed one, and that you are. May your gentle blue eyes see the wonder of the world, find the joy, pay attention to what needs healing and repair, and remain clear-eyed to what is possible. We embrace you with so much love and want to offer you our tradition's oldest blessing. And for this, you need even more than a couple of rabbis and cantors. We're going to invite, and I want Rabbi Nicole Auerbach to join, and Imam to join us for this blessing. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know. She's definitely got pipes for singing. So we'll bring her in. And in fact, it's not just all of us, but you're joining in this blessing as well. Go ahead, Jenny, you can start.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
Ken yehi ratzon.
May God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Ken yehi ratzon.
May God's light shine upon you and may you experience God's graciousness.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom.
May God's presence always rest upon you and bring you peace.
Amen. Mazel tov. Please be seated.
Love, only love with all your heart. Love, only love with all your soul. Listen to the around you, you will remember.
As you're walking through the day, make the world a better place. Children will learn, and the future will be love.
Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to your wisdom inside and around you. You will remember.
in your home and on your way. Make your life a voice of God. Be a sculptor for the holy. Be a doorway for love.
Love, only love, with all your heart. Love, only love, with all your soul. Listen to your wisdom inside and around you. You will remember. You will remember. You will remember.
Well, I don't know that there's a better way to come to a redemption prayer than that baby naming leading into our children leading us in that song. We turn to the words of Micha Mocha, our prayer of redemption that can be found on page 152.
You are my strength, and you are my song. You have become my liberation, liberation. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Micha mocha, va'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha, nedar b'kodesh. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. You are my strength, and you are my song. You have become my liberation, liberation. You are my strength, and you are my song. You have become my liberation, liberation. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya
into our prayer, asking for God's protection and sheltering presence in our lives and in the world, in so many places that are still suffering from war and hatred, and sometimes the darkness that is even in our own souls, that we are fighting our fears and our anxieties. So we turn to God and ask for that sheltering presence. And before we add those words of Hashkivenu, a modern interpretation. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I say, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all come around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that they don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day, oh, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. One day, one day, oh, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Page 155, we rise together for Amidah. Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים, אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מחכה לחיים בחסד,
מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חורים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבולות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יבלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue through the words of our prayer book, offering these words found through the prayer for peace on page 165, or closing the prayer book and offering the words of your heart. I invite you to either remain standing or to be seated, as is your custom, as we take these next few moments in silence.
Peace will come when we recognize the God factor in each of us, that we are created in his image. Let us love one another.
Peace will come when the silent majority wakes up from their slumber and becomes radical peacemakers.
Peace will come when we are willing to do the hard work, one relationship at a time, to build that peace.
Peace will come when we dwell less on the differences between us and more on how we are all a part of the human family.
Peace will come when we take to heart that God revels and relishes in our differences, not our sameness, and loves the many paths that lead to that ultimate source of righteousness.
Peace will come when God chooses us to become vessels through which mercy, justice, and compassion will flow on earth.
Peace will come when we stand up against hate and stand it with each other in love.
Peace will come when we let go of our fears and open our hearts.
Peace will come soon.
Peace, peace will come. Let it begin with me. We need peace. And let it begin with me. Oh, let my life be all can hold to control. Oh, let my life be lived for the good of my soul. Let it bring peace, sweet peace. Peace will come, and let it begin with me. Peace will come, oh, peace will come. Yes, peace will come, and let it begin with me. Peace will come, oh, peace will come. Yes, peace will come, and let it begin with me. Peace will come, oh, peace will come. Yes, peace will come, and let it begin with me. Peace will come, oh, peace will come. Yes, peace will come, and let it begin with me. With me. With me.
We pray for that peace that will come and that will spread out eternally and always, and it's what we pray for every week. We know that until that time arrives, peace comes and it goes. And this week's Torah portion reminds us that most of all as we watch the ups and downs of Joseph's struggles. A reminder of how quickly and terribly our fortunes can turn. A searing reminder of what we try so hard to forget and to push away, knowing that all we have is fragile, and that lurking around every moment is news that could upend the things that matter so much to us: our health, our community, our stability, our security. But in calling this to mind each week, we remember that some things are not fleeting. The support of good friends, the support of a community that stands together, and God's sustaining and strengthening presence. And so we call to mind those in our circles of community who are in need of healing. Aidan Flom, Etta Mindel Bat Chana, Stanley Coben, Matthew Shotkin. And we'd invite you to share the names of those in your circles of concern who are in need of healing. May the one who bolstered and blessed our ancestors bless these dear ones too, with the full and speedy healing of body, mind, and spirit.
Healer of the brokenhearted, binder of our wounds, counter of uncountable stars, you know who
splendor of their wombs, counter of uncountable stars, you know who we are.
Because we know blessings come and go, all the more we grasp onto them and hold them and lift them up. And so every week we also share things that maybe are true for you. And if it's a blessing that applies to you, we'll ask you to stand and remain standing until we're all on our feet in recognition of the blessings, big and small, that are existing all around us this week. So if you're marking a birthday in the week to come, or you marked a birthday in the week that's past, I'll invite you to stand so we can say Yom Huledet Sameach and happy birthday. Maybe you're marking an anniversary of some kind, or you marked one this past week. We'd invite you to stand. A lot of simchas, that's great. Mazal tov. Some other simcha, some other special occasion, maybe a baby naming or a wedding in your community or new life added into your family. We'll invite you to rise for any happy occasion, any big news from this week. And maybe you're preparing to travel to see family or go to a destination to escape this weather. We'll invite you to rise. We want to invite to rise guests who are with us for the first time, anybody who's visiting us, but especially our partners who are here to help stand up against hate as part of this Shine a Light on Anti-Semitism. We feel so blessed to have your presence and to continue to build these bonds together. And so we, the whole community, want to stand along with you now to say, as you stand with us, we stand with you too, as we sing together to God, to thank God for bringing us to this moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please be seated. I know that our Jewish community has been concerned about rising anti-Semitism in its many forms. And when David Sable and Rachel Krauss from the Shine a Light movement approached Central about participating in a national interfaith effort to shine a light on anti-Semitism this weekend, I knew we wanted to participate. They encouraged us to think about partners and allies in this work, and I could not think of a person who shines more light on this issue in his community and beyond than my friend and inspiration, Imam Abdullah Antepli. Imam Antepli is on the faculty at Duke University, where he also served as its first Muslim chaplain. He hosted my daughter when she visited Duke, and I think he knows more Jewish students on campus than the Hillel rabbi does. He was born in Turkey in a secular family, and his path to his own Muslim faith led him down a road to fight the hate and anti-Semitism that he was taught growing up in his home country. Imam Antepli had the vision to found and lead the Muslim Leadership Institute at the Shalom Hartman Institute, which in its last 10 years has brought over 150 American Muslim leaders to Israel to learn about Judaism, Zionism, and Israel from Jewish scholars. And for this truly courageous act, Imam Antepli has received much criticism, ostracism, even death threats in his own community. But it has helped change the conversation in the Muslim community, and it has planted seeds of relationship and understanding that are flowering in all sorts of unexpected places. Imam Antepli was the first imam after 9/11 to deliver a prayer in the US Congress, the only one to have done so now twice. He speaks 6 languages, and he has used them to build bridges between disparate communities, most notably Jews and Muslims. For his pointed critique of religious extremism, he has been banned from multiple countries, mostly authoritarian ones, including, unfortunately, his own native Turkey. Imam Antepli has been widely recognized for his moral leadership, most recently receiving the ADL's Daniel Pearl Award at the most recent national conference, for all of his work in building understanding and promoting religious tolerance. I feel incredibly grateful that I'm introducing not just a giant religious figure in America, but a friend. He has truly done this work out of a sense of calling, that this is the work of his life. And he's not just fighting it to help the Jewish community, but he does it also, he would say, for the soul of his own Muslim community. And he holds up a mirror to all of us, challenging us, for each of us, to take our own reckoning with our assumptions and our prejudices, because we all have them, and we need to fight them together. We could not have a better friend or champion, and it is my great honor to invite Imam Antepli to our bima tonight.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good evening, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings be upon you all. What a delight, distinct honor, and pleasure. This is my first visit to Central Synagogue today, and I did my Muslim Sheikhiyanus earlier. But especially do it under the leadership of our dear, fearless leader, who I have been part of her ever-growing fan club for a very long time. And wonderful to welcome Shabbat, wonderful to just see the beauty of Shabbat bride's beauty together. As a serious student of Judaism, over the years I have developed incredibly long list of holy envies, holy jealousies about Judaism. And by far, Shabbat is always number one. I am so jealous of this particular Jewish expression, this calling once a week. When the world's most significant, most powerful, most impactful religion, capitalism, telling us 1,000,000 times a day, buy more, do more, travel more, achieve more, success more, and causing this overscheduled life of ours in the modern day. Here is a religion for the last 4,000 years telling us not to do that for once a week. For once a week to stop all these external journeys, center ourselves around whatever we feel our center of morality and light, and slow down and evaluate our lives to see if we are on the trajectory of who we want to be, who we ought to be, who we're supposed to be. I am incredibly jealous. And I always regret, I wish more Jews would appreciate Shabbat as much as I do. When I speak about the Shabbat and how much I am obsessed with all this energy that it brings to us individually and collectively, I don't always feel that zeal and commitment. But the world needs Shabbat, especially during these times. In my brief remarks, I would like to invite us to a prayerful reaction to the increase of hate and darkness and racism and especially anti-Semitism in our world. It is a striking similarity between Islam and Judaism that almost all our prayers are time-connected, time-affiliated. That time was the first thing God sanctified before sanctifying anything, any land, any religion, any community, any holy man and woman. Muslim tradition and Jewish tradition has gone so far that every prayer is connected to a particular event or a movement of a sun or a moon or events, seasons, etc. So this current rise of darkness, current rise of unprecedented hate and anti-Semitism and racism and hate of any kind, our reaction as people of faith, our response as people of morality, should be, it's a time for a different kind of prayer. As we pray when there's a sickness, when there's a flood, when there's a war, when there's a peace, we have to respond from a place of prayerfulness. We have to connect to the centers of our moral power and respond through this way. If darkness can only be fought through light, if hate can only be fought through love, so we have to find out what that light is, what that shining is, and what that love is. Otherwise, at best, if we are responding to this rising darkness, hate, rising anti-Semitism, which is incredibly despicable, shocking, and if you are not shocked, that means you are not paying attention. You are not seeing the numbers. You are not looking at this FBI and ADL's recording from college campuses to churches to mosques and other places, etc., that things are getting worse and worse every year in record numbers. But our response to this emergence and resurrection of our contemporary evil faces, contemporary Hamans, contemporary Amaleks are showing their ugly faces, it has to come from a prayerful place. For a people of faith and morality, this cannot be only crisis management. This cannot be only problem solving. This cannot be only fixing a problem or bringing a solution. If we are reacting as a crisis management team, maybe that's why, because of that things are getting worse and not getting any better. In my, again, brief remarks, I would like to share a few humble observations about if we are not reacting from an ethical, moral, and prayerful space, how does this problem manifest? What are the consequences of not responding to darkness with a light, but through transactional, organizational, or institutional policies and reactions? I would like to share few of them as a caution to me and all of us. And tomorrow morning, I'll be at the synagogue as well as part of a program, Imam Omar Baju and I. Maybe tomorrow we can brainstorm how to do it. Allow me to, at least since I get the most attention tonight, I would like to warn about these consequences of not reacting from the right place, from the prayerful place. We have to look into this ugliness and say it's a time of prayer. But this time, we have to act and pray with our feet, not with our supplicational oral language, as late Abraham Joshua Heschel said, in his spirit and in his wisdom. And we have to do it together. One consequence of not reacting through light to defeat darkness, if we don't do that, then the hate and the different manifestation of hate will be compartmentalized. It will be siloed. Anti-Semitism will be only a Jewish problem. Homophobia will be only an LGBTQ issue. Islamophobia will be a problem for the Muslim community. Until and unless we realize there is a rising hate coming from the same place, this is the same evil manifesting under different names, different manifestations, different colors, we will not be able to defeat this. We will not be able to replace darkness with light. We will not be able to replace hate with love. If anti-Semitism is only a Muslim problem, only a Jewish problem, if only Jews are supposed to work on this issue, and if all the other forms of hate and racism is also particular to particular communities, that's how the good people are divided in their force, in their reaction. In this extraordinary time, one way to respond prophetically, holistically, and prayerfully, allow me to sort of center my thoughts. I get into this Southern Baptist preaching mode all the time. I'm trying to control that image so I can really work through this with you. Dangers of reacting to this rising hate and anti-Semitism as a sheer problem-solving or crisis management. Also, in addition to compartmentalizing this, despite the force, we have very little. It will not allow us to respond to this problem with an act of mercy and compassion. It will show every problem to us as a nail and make us as a hammer, that the only way to respond to this rising anti-Semitism and hate is through the forces of muscle, through punitive measures, through using the force of law. This problem is rising because the moral health of America, moral health of the global community is declining and deteriorating, and therefore, for those whose job is to respond through the force of law and muscles is one thing, but for those of us who are people of faith and morality, we have to respond with an act of kindness, engagement, education, and long-term game. As this problem has been on the rise and development for many decades, it's not going to go away immediately. And many of the people who are infected by the virus of hate, many of them, they don't know any better, and I was one of them. I was one of them. I know this. If nobody would be recovering, it would be me, because I spent a significant part of my teenage years soaked in deep anti-Semitism in Turkey, where I grew up. I spent a good chunk of my early years believing that Jews as a people and Judaism as a religion is irredeemably evil. And look where I am now. And look where I am now. And if it is possible for a rabid anti-Semite burning Israeli flags in pro-Palestinian meetings for a number of years to be on a bima here celebrating Shabbat with you, anybody and everybody can also recover. So we can only react through punitive measures. And thank God, during my anti-Semitic years, there were no cell phones. My anti-Semitism were not immortalized. That I wasn't locked up into my ignorance, my hate, my poisoned intellectual and ethical moral life. Therefore, for those of us who are people of faith and morality, our prayerful response, our lightful response to the darkness, at least for some of us, should also include engagement, grace, educational opportunities, and giving people second, third, and fourth chance. The rise of anti-Semitism and hate is a reflection of a collective failure. If we don't do this in the holistic sense possible, one of the ways in which, also the last issue, beautiful, Holy Quran beautifully says, repel evil, replace evil with what's better. If we are not coming from a place of moral and ethical commitment, we become so anti-evil, we become so anti-whatever is disturbing us. But we would forget what we are for, what we are pro. What are we going to replace that evil that is on the rise? What kind of ethical, moral light that we are producing into this? But one of the most important consequences of not doing this from a place of prayer, from a place of moral commitment and light, is only doing it as a crisis management problem solving. It takes us from the hook, it takes us from the responsibility into the guilt space. One of the greatest consequences of this evil on the rise is showing us that this risen hate and anti-Semitism, there are few people who are guilty for this. But there is a possibility that all of us are responsible. When Dr. King was writing his letter from Birmingham jail, He didn't write to those racists and the haters of his time. He wrote to his community. He wrote to good people and said, you may not be guilty of this problem. Again, in the spirit of Abraham Joshua Heschel. But you are responsible with your inaction. As the wise man said once, for evil to flourish, for hate to flourish, all it takes for good people to do nothing. All it takes for good people to do anything. So it is an invitation, prayerful invitation to me primarily, but for all of us. Is our inaction, is our slumber, is our lack of moral action, is our lack of responses to what's going on around us, is part of the problem. It is one of the fundamental reasons why this hate and anti-Semitism is on the rise. Let me give you my own example before I throw a stone to anybody and everybody. If that anti-Semitic terrorist from Colleyville, Texas, while he called our Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, he vomited all his anti-Semitism and conspiracy theories. If you are a Muslim and you heard these conspiracy theories in your communities, in your dinner tables, in your Eid celebrations, in your khutbahs, and you did nothing, you are complicit. If you are not surprised of the mainstream of these obsessive conspiracy theories about Jews, Judaism, Zionism, and Israel, and you have not done anything, that means you may not be guilty of this rising anti-Semitism, but you are responsible. In that spirit, sisters and brothers, and of ethics and morality and faith, people may be busy shouting, criticizing, and condemning the darkness. Let's be part of the people who are lighting candle in response. And let's develop that candle together, inshallah, Bezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom again.
Imam, thank you so much for filling us with such light and lifting us and inspiring us to do what we all need to do. We're grateful. We're going to return to our prayer book, to our concluding prayers, Aleinu, on page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated.
ויתקדש שמי רבם.
I read from page 291. These beautiful words from Israeli poet Chana Senesh, who said, Yesh kochavim, there are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we have loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. And the stars that light up the darkest of nights, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the way we remember. The Shabbat, we remember the stars that lit up our lives, beginning with the names of loved ones who have died within the past 30 days. Hayusia Bernstein, Charles J. Block, Richard Clive Fargione, Sandra Flaum, Douglas James Ledger, Paul Lewis, Rona Licht, Renata Fargione Mayer, Arthur Yehuda Oken, Stephen Plotnick, Peter Pretzfelder, Joan Saslow, and Sarah Sellinger. And we remember the names of dear ones whose yahrzeits occur at this week each year. Howard Annex, Harold Axelrod, Lila Barnett, Beatrice Baum, Peter Beckerman, Solomon Bendit, Joel Berger, Lee Berger, Joe Berman, Harold Burson, Susan Blum, Charles Bogutz, Amy Bonoff, Robert Brahman, Morris Brand, Bertha Braveman, Bryce Bergman Chudnow, Myron Clayman, David Cohen, Melville Cuba, Esther Denkinson, Alan Epstein, Maskell Ewing, Howard Fish, Alan Friedman, Alan J. Friedman, Herman Friedman, Rube Furman, June Goldwasser, Gladys Gonzalez Ramos, Leon Gordon, Edith Wolf Greenspan, Benjamin Greenwald, Flora Jean Dobson Gross, Jerome Gross, Clara Haft, Isabel Hanrahan, Albert Hensel, Sam Israel, Brigitte Joachim, Dorothy Kaufman, Paul Ehrlich Kaunitz, Lothar Klestadt, Julie Kronowitz, Jean Lambert, Neil Land, Nellie Langer, Dorothy Levinson, Helga Loeb, Gustav Manis, Henry Marks, Martin Michaels, Seymour Nathan, Stephen Oppenheim, Sylvia Pacquion, Lon Palmer, Mordecai Jane Pollock, A. Stanley Proner, Stephen Ravitch, Joseph Reitner, Evelyn Riesel, Honey Rosenthal, Mel Sachs, Louis Schindler, Helen Schneider, Susan Schuster, Ronald Seelhoff, Diana Shapiro, Paul Shine, Martin Sherman, David Siegel, Doris Ciro, Melvin Ciro, Corinne Slatkin, Martin Sloat, Max Slonim, Harvey Snyder, Renee Snyder, Herbert Spear, Arnold Steinberg, Ruth Stern, Leslie Susser, Edith Schwarzman, Herta Tannenberg, Diane Teagan, Erica Tishman, Nellie Williams, Dorothy Willis, Harold Witt, Joseph Wohl, and Donald Zalderer. And if you have a name that you'd like to add to this list, I'll invite you to say it aloud at this time. If this is the first week of your mourning, the passing of a loved one, I'll invite you to rise if you're able to honor them at this time. If it's within the first month of the death of your loved one, I'll invite you to rise at this time. You can remain standing. If it's within the first year since your loved one has died, I'll invite you to rise to honor them. If you're observing a yahrzeit this Shabbat, please rise. And we'll invite the entire congregation to join those who are standing as we remember the stars that lit up our lives and continue to guide us. We say Zichronam Livracha, May their memories always be for blessing. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. Let's join together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah B'yalma Divrach Yutei v'yamlich Malchutei B'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayid v'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'izman kari v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Omei Almaya Yit Barach v'yish Tabach v'yit Pa'ar v'yit Romam v'yit Naseh v'yit Hadar v'yit Halev v'yit Halal Shemei D'Kudsha Brichu Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram b'yama v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Osei Shalom b'romav hu ya'asei Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Lily Gaffin, and I'm a student in this year's confirmation class at Central Synagogue. It is great to see our sanctuary filled this evening. Of course, you can always watch our services virtually through our live stream, Facebook Live, YouTube channel, and local JBS station. If you are here from LCLJ, don't forget to sign in the back. Following services, please join us downstairs in the pavilion for our Oneg Shabbat. All are welcome. Tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m., both in person and virtually, is our Mishkan service, an intimate, musical, and participatory service offering a deeper dive into Shabbat morning prayers. And as Rabbi Buchtel mentioned, immediately following Mishkan, we will have coffee with Imams Antepli and Bajwa in the pavilion. 8 nights, 8 inspiring luminaries. Starting this Sunday night through December 25th. Brighten each night of Hanukkah with 8 distinguished speakers and teachers as they lead our inspiring menorah lightings. And next Friday, December 23rd, is our special Hanukkah Shabbat service. Please visit the Hanukkah section of our website to learn more about Hanukkah at Central. We invite all kids under the age of bar bat mitzvah to come up to the bima to help us lead the Kiddush and Motzi blessings. The Kiddush can be found on page 5 of our prayer books.
We sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu Zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh Zecher litziat Mitzrayim Ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kodecha be'ahava uvratzon hilchotanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. And we bless the challah together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Just want to reiterate, because we didn't get to put this in the weekly, but again, it's a really rare and special opportunity to have a conversation with Imam Antepli, and we are really grateful that Omar Bajwa is also here, Imam Bajwa from Yale, and actually, Imam Antepli spoke with our board leadership this morning in an extraordinary conversation just to be able to ask every question you wanted to ask and to just hear from in a more intimate way. So I hope that you'll join for Mishkan at 9:30, and the coffee with the imams will be at 11, and we really hope that you will come and join us, and we're really grateful that they're here. I'd actually like to invite up our clergy colleagues, all our guests, our honored guests in the front row, and to join us as we close out this service, and just to say that you're not just joining us on this service, you've been our friends for a very long time, and we are so grateful. So please come join us. Again, a deep thank you to Imam Antepli for his words tonight, but also for his actions always. And just to do a shout out, the Cantor Pearsall, in honor of this special Shabbat, also brought an oud player, Harvey, to play, to add a little extra Middle Eastern flavor into our music as well tonight, which is beautiful. And a big thank you to our amazing teens who added their voices and beauty to our service. We're going to close with a prayer for peace that also has salam and shalom in it.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, shalom. Salam, salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.